Welcome to Cut the Crop, keeping you in the know about everything you grow. Researchers, growers and other interesting folk delivering insights and information on topics ranging from agronomy to profitability. Brought to you by the Foundation for Arable Research.
Hello and welcome to Cut the Crop. I'm your host, Anna Heslop, and today my guest is Chris Smith,
Hi, Anna.
our technology manager at FAR. And Chris is here to talk, not surprisingly, about technology and most particularly about a new technology tools and machinery strategy that has just been developed. Now, the strategy is sort of running from now through till 2028 at this stage, but it will be ongoing. So, Chris, tell us about the strategy. Why was it actually created?
It was initially sort of started off by Alistair Holmes. He sort of put the foundations down there, and I sort of picked up the mantle and carried on with it and sort of developed it further, because FAR's done a lot of projects over time with a bit of technology here and sort of project on stuff. We've been going back to 2001. We've been doing things on technology, but it's about focusing it and seeing where the path is and actually having sort of foundations and a roadmap of where we're going with it, rather than doing a project here and a project there. So it's sort of, we've set objectives and we've set goals and targets that we've got to reach and certain timelines, etc. So it's about sort of being accountable for that as well, and also trying to tick off some of the KPIs that FAR have with doing it, sort of bringing extension and sort of for extension for machinery and for technology through to the growers themselves, and also bringing technology into some of the R&D work we're doing as well. So we're sort of trying to integrate it into some of the projects as well.
So what does such a policy incorporate? Because technology, machinery, tools, I mean, that's just about everything apart from a plant, about arable farming. So what's incorporated in there and what are you going to be actually doing?
That's a really good question. It's all it's all sort of integrated. There's a lot of sort of interrelationships. Basically, there's 4 different pillars to it. There's technology, sort of digital technology. There's digital tools. Then there's precision technology, and then there's machinery. And they're all being delivered through the 3 aspects that FAR sort of delivers their sort of their technology through. So we're looking at sort of maximising productivity, looking at resilience on farms, and also looking how growers can achieve better sort of environmental and social sort of good practice. So we're delivering it through those sort of different formats as well. And we'll be sort of taking it through, looking at the shareholders, we've got the stakeholders, we've got the obviously got the growers themselves. So we'll be looking at working with the growers and seeing what technologies they can use and what will work with them, getting them to talk to each other. We'll be looking at sort of other primary industries, sort of partners as well, making sure we're not just reinventing the wheel if they've done something, working together. Working with governmental departments as well, which we're doing a bit of at the moment. We're working on the ISO standards, which is sort of basically trying to have standard digital units throughout the world. So we're putting the sort of the arable forward on that side of things as well. So it's quite a lot involved with it. It's quite a big sort of topic. Yes.
I've got so many questions. First of all, what's the difference between digital technology and digital tools?
That's a very good question. So digital technology, that's using advanced information. So it's gathering all the data that's collected by the tools, and it's using things like AI, machine learning. So you can get all the data and create sort of big data pools and actually bring that, see what relationships there are in there, and bring in sort of trends and things and make decision support tools. And that can cover things as well, like robots, sort of AI, looking at sort of plant weed detection and then going out with sprayers, as opposed to digital tools is more looking at the sensors themselves, or looking at the actual tools that information is using to actually gather the data, if you see what I mean.
Okay, so there's the gadget, and then there's the information that it's providing.
Brain. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah.
So this sounds really super techie, and I'm not. And lots of farmers out there are not. They might have some auto steer on their tractor, but when you start talking about AI and machine learning and robotics, it sounds very futuristic. Is it futuristic?
Not at all, no. Some of this tech's been around for 20 years. There'll be the early adopters will be picking things up that are just coming out, but a lot of it has been around. So it's finding out, tailoring what works for farmers. I mean, farmers are using their cell phones. They're getting tractors with GPS guidance on them. It's maximising what they've got already and utilising it better and getting more performance out of it. and just drawing on all the information that's out there to be able to make better decisions, more informed decisions.
So when the next new thing comes along and I'm down on the farm saying, ooh, what the hell is that? And how does that work? And would it ever be any use to me? Is that the sort of thing that you envisage being involved in this strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we're doing is we're looking within New Zealand, also worldwide, at what technologies are out there, building up relationships and networks, talking to growers who've used some of these technologies, whether they're in New Zealand or abroad, seeing what works and what doesn't work here. And it's basically we identify what the opportunities are, then evaluate whether they're going to work in New Zealand. And then if they are, we can either demonstrate them or promote them for growers. And probably the biggest thing is, we did an Agritech New Zealand survey back in 2022, and it said that arable growers are really keen for trying technology, but the biggest holdback is, will it work in New Zealand, and what's the return on investment? So we've got to prove to the growers if something's got a return on investment to them. If it hasn't, then there's no place for it in the business. If you can't make a decision from it or improve your profitability, then it's questionable.
So it's a lot of it is about understanding, firstly, if it works, then how it works, and then whether there's a return on it.
Absolutely, yeah. And also, yeah, because there's so much cool stuff out there, but some of it's here today, gone tomorrow, and so many people have tried different things and been burnt. It's just longevity as well of these things, making sure you're trying things, and that's why you have to search maybe further afield to see if it's been used abroad and how people have got on with it. And you can also cut out a few of the stages. If they've been doing a journey and it's taken them a long time to get from A to B, then if you can cut that journey out and save a lot of money, then that makes a lot of sense to the growers as well. And it's also tailoring it to every farm business. All farm businesses are different. They've got different sort of technology on board. They've got different sort of hunger for it, if you like. And so some people might not be interested in anything, just want to do the bare minimum. And other people want to invest. Once you get in that path, they want to keep investing and keep moving forward and sort of trying new things.
So just thinking back last year and again this year, in fact, the combine workshops, which were quite successful, does that fit in there? Because that's not new technology.
It's not, but that's another one of the tiers. That's the machinery tier of this. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing now is doing a lot of 101 stuff. So exactly like the combine course, we sort of be going through machinery. Growers spend a lot of money on this machinery. We need to see how efficient we can make it for them. So we're looking at getting experts in. Identifying experts is one of the sort of parameters we've set for different things, where it's be combines, sprayers, vert spreaders, drills, etc. But the combine course is a great example of how it worked really well. We had growers sort of improving productivity by sort of 30%, etc., and having fuel savings. So it has a real payback. So we can show people how their knowledge of the crops and the knowledge of other people's of the machinery can we work together. That's a great example of how we can make this sort of strategy work for growers.
So some of it's and some people might see it as being quite techie and futuristic, but some of it is literally tires on the ground.
Totally.
Let's see what we can do to make this work the best it can for you.
Yeah, literally, and actually tires is another area we're covering as well. So compaction and getting the right tires for the right equipment, etc. Just back to 101 stuff. It's just covering everything from the basic things through to sort of hyperspectral imagery for guys who want to look at cropping. So it's a very broad spectrum. So it's quite a big sort of strategy that we've sort of diluted down, that should be on the website, hopefully.
There's a whole lot, speaking of on the website, there's a whole lot of moisture probes in the ground at FAR's Corfi research site at Lincoln. Is that part of your strategy as well?
Absolutely, yes. So that's a part of the digital tools. So there we're looking at all the different probes we've got out there. They're all pretty much using the same digital tools, but it's how they're displaying them. So again,
these are different brands or types of tools, of probes, that are essentially, ideally, doing the same thing. Is it kind of like a comparative study? Or?
Yeah, so there's different probes, but there's also some of the companies are using the same probes, but they're displaying them in different ways. So that's bringing in the digital technology side of things, so you can see how the information's being displayed, and what makes more sense to me might not make sense to somebody else, and like sort of vice versa. So it's what works for you, how you can make your decisions on irrigation or your soil moisture for planting, etc. So it's looking at those tools and how effective they are and how well they display the information for the grower to understand it. And also how you can bring in lots of different information into the same sort of hub. There's so much information out there, and people are using so many different logins for so many different things, that if you can actually centralize a lot of that stuff into one place, you can not only look at it all in one place, but it can also use all the data together and look through those different layers and actually make decisions from those layers.
FAR's got a couple of growers leading change groups that are interested in sort of machinery and technology. Will they be part of this as well?
Very much so, yeah, absolutely. We've been working with some of the growers already, and I'm looking at sort of doing further work in this direction as well. For example, with nitrogen, we've got from one extreme with the guys who are doing the proximal sensors, doing variable rate nitrogen off the FERT spreaders, to looking at multispectral imagery, to looking at free software that guys can try that's just multispectral, but will give them images of their farm, and they can then decide if they want to do anything with it. So you got a broad spectrum of sort of costing nothing through to costing us quite a lot of money to actually sort of set up. So there's a real parameter of lots of different things, and growers can decide which part they want to play on that. And also the growers leading change groups, it's an ideal platform to be actually part of the strategy as well, is in growers hungry to find something that we can sort of connect them with the right people.
So when we first started talking, I said machinery, technology and tools sounds like everything that's happening on the farm every day. This is quite huge.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, it is pretty much everything that is happening on the farm today, even through to compliance, because technology is used for bringing in all your data from compliance and to prove why you're doing what you're doing, etc. So it's and transparency on farm. So for New Zealanders getting our products, or even people further abroad, it's giving transparency on how we're producing what we're producing.
Okay, so we've got all of this stuff and we've packaged it together into a strategy. How do what's your desired outcome? And what is the point of this? Because we've said, it's going to help with this, it's going to make it easier to decide that. But, what's the big goal?
The big goal really is to help the growers, New Zealand growers, have a seamless adoption of technology, digital, whether it's digital sort of tools, some machinery and sort of precision ag, to make it seamless as possible. And for whatever benefits their farm, they can actually choose the areas, they can look at the resources. We'll be increasing our resources, giving them guides, etc. So they've got the information there and they can decide what will help their farm become, like I say, more resilient to sort of future changes and disruption, maximising productivity and helping them with their best practice, etc., environmentally and socially.
Okay, so we've left a bit out here. It's just occurred to me because you're doing all this investigating and potentially evaluating and looking at tools that are already in use or things that are being used overseas to see if they will work here. And then you've got people on the farm who are going, wow, this is too much for me. So how is that information going to get from inside the strategy to those growers?
That's a really good point. So it's a lot of extension work. So that'd be through field days. That'd be actually growers talking to growers leading change, bringing in other growers to those growers leading change groups to talk to them about their experiences, sharing experiences, what worked, what didn't work, what they liked, what they made a good return on investment for. There's a lot of that stuff. So there's a lot happening in the background. A lot of growers ring each other up about technology. If they know somebody's got something, they'll ring them up and ask them their experiences. And FAR will be part of that journey and actually bringing in some experts and things to help on that as well, and trying to get some literature out there and resources for the growers. So it'll be through social media, through podcasts, through sort of workshops, like I say, and through just grower meetings, etc.
So it sounds enormous, but it also sounds like the sort of thing that growers get really interested and excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a shift away from what growers might think of about productivity, where they're thinking about fertilizer and ag chem and weed, pest and disease management and growing more. How do these tools add to productivity?
Yeah, it sort of encompasses all of that really. It's more about efficiencies and sort of using the right spray nozzles or the right equipment at the right times, right technology at the right times. It's using for the precision ag, it's the old 4 R's, right resource at the right time, the right place, the right rate, etc. And something that's left out of the 4 R's should actually be 5. It should be the right data. So it's using the right data in the first place to make those decisions as well.
You've got to collect that data before you can use it.
Absolutely. And to become efficient, you need to be, obviously you run your machines more efficiently, but you need to be able to gather information. How am I being more efficient now than I was previously? So you need to be able to monitor what you're doing and put benchmarks in and be able to see where you've improved.
So you've got 4 pillars in there, which is digital technology, digital tools, precision ag, and machinery. obviously there's 100 million things that could come within there. Are there priorities within those pillars, or where's that information? Who makes those decisions?
We've set some objectives and some goals, and there's some projects that are already going, like the combine harvester one's going, so that's part of the machinery one. Part of the objectives for 2024 was actually sort of identify experts and then start running courses, so we're doing that with the combines. We're also looking to doing a bit of that with the fertilizer spreaders as well. We've done a couple of GLC groups on fertilizer spreaders, getting your spreaders tested, and potentially we're looking at tyres, getting someone in to talk about tyres and compaction, etc. So we've sort of got that sort of thing going. And likewise, on the digital technology side of things, we're looking at benchmarking and sort of how we bring in different data. And with digital tools, like you said, we've got the moisture probe survey. We're also looking at sort of nitrogen use, different options for doing variable rate nitrogen from, like I was saying earlier, just very basics through to very complicated. And also the resolution of all this data. You can go from 2 centimetre accurate data up to sort of 20 or 30 metre accurate. But if you only spread at 24 metres, there's no point in paying for 2 centimetre accuracy. So it's about getting what's needed, where it's needed. Yeah.
Well, and the farmers are involved in this all along the way
very
as
much
well.
So, 100%. Yeah, it won't work without talking to the farmers who do. There's a lot of guys doing some really smart stuff. We've got some very smart, top leading edge farmers in New Zealand. So it's keeping engaged with those guys and letting those guys tell their stories to everyone else as well, but not talking down, but sharing information, because everybody's got something to add to the story.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's excellent. I love it.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's great that you love it. Listeners, I know you guys love this as well. So have a great day on the farm. And if you want to find out more about that strategy, check it out on the FAR website.
Thanks for tuning in to Cut the Crop, presented to you by FAR. If you'd like to know more about any of the topics discussed or have any suggestions for future topics, go to www.cutthecrop.co.nz.